Hey, yo, and welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast here, recording Monday, August 24th. We got Big E, and we have a very, very special guest joining us tonight. It is David Creed. He's a sports contributor at the Nantucket Current, the leading news source, in my opinion, for all things Nantucket. I follow them religiously on social media every day. They really give you a complete highlight in terms of what's going on across the island. And David is kind enough to take some time tonight to join us and talk all things Nantucket. So, David, how's it going? Thank you so much for taking some time.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. I love your podcast, and yeah, I appreciate those kind words about the current. It's certainly taken off over the past 5 years.
Absolutely. Big E, how are you, my friend? Always great to see your beautiful face.
I'm doing wonderful. Oh, thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate that. That's
Beautiful
something I feel
face,
like my
collared
mother would I
shirt.
feel like that's something my mother would say to me.
Shout out Judy.
No, but doing well. We had a little bit of a rainy weekend, but we're back, baby. So nice weather this week ahead.
Absolutely. It was a beautiful Monday, and it was a beautiful week ahead that we have. And David, let's get going. We got some questions for you, talking all things Nantucket, but let's start here. As we talked about a little bit, the Current has really taken off in the last couple of years. Talk to us a little bit about behind the scenes of the Current. Like, how did it get going? Who's sort of involved in getting that going? And how does it work every day where, like, you have partners posting for, and giving you guys content. You have news from the community coming. Like, there's so much that goes into making it what it is. So give us a little bit of behind the scenes and what you see day in and day out.
Yeah, so boy, where to start with that one? So in 2021, Bruce Pursley, who owns Nantucket Magazine, he reached out to Jason Grazide, who was the public information officer at the hospital. Now, and Jason worked for the newspaper on the islands for like a decade, left, and then he was with the hospital for like a decade or whatever. So Bruce tried to buy the newspaper, and it ended up going to someone else. So then he thought, oh, well, I'm going to start a digital publication. So he reached out to Jason, who, I think Bruce knew, but Jason's the best. I mean, he was by far the best choice to start this thing. And they began it and they started the Current in April of 2021. And a few months later, I signed on and I signed my contract. Actually, so let's say the 24th. So September 2nd is the anniversary. So it's gonna be my 5-year anniversary. In like what, 8,
Congratulations.
9 days.
The anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so I knew Jason actually because I just picked up a general assignment reporter job out here and I used to grill him about the hospital. And so when the Current was founded, I was like, he was by himself. I was like, I don't know how you're doing this yourself.
Yeah.
And but I was like, if you are trying to expand and add a second reporter, like I'm very interested. One thing led to the next. I joined and yeah, we're going 5 years strong now. It's insane how much we didn't expect it to grow into what it is, but it's amazing. I mean, it's such a unique place. And yeah, it's 24/7, just getting messages. And the summer is crazy for us, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's been a really good experience for all of us. But I have to give Jason huge shout out. He's unbelievable running the thing. He's the editor in chief.
Absolutely. Jason was very kind to connect you and I together and help make this all happen tonight. So a big thank you to him, and everything that you see on the Current is just awesome. Big E, keep it rolling for us.
Yeah, David, obviously we are a sports podcast here and you report on sports on Nantucket. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like covering sports in Nantucket? And I know there's a lot of travel involved, limited facilities on the island. Can you speak a little bit about like what the life is like for some of the kids in high school that are competing with other towns and communities across Massachusetts?
Yeah, so I have said to people since I came here first in 2018, like the kids, the coaches, like some of the most dedicated you're gonna find in the state because what they have to do just to play games is insane. They gotta take a boat for all the away games. So if you have, say, like a 3:30 game, they gotta take like a noon boat. So they get out of school early and they have to do their homework and they have to catch up on like all their courses while they're on the boat. And then they go play the game. And then they got to race back to the ferry and try to catch a 7 o'clock fast ferry. If they can't get that, they have to take an 8 o'clock slow boat, which they wouldn't get back to the island until like 10:30. And then if they don't catch the boat, they have to sleep in a hotel. So it's an adventure. One time, I would say 3-4 years ago, I was covering a game off island and all the boats got canceled. And I was like scrambling to try to find a hotel room. It was like in February. And like either the hotels were closed or they were booked. I thought I was gonna have to like sleep on like the sidewalk. I had no idea what I was gonna do. I
No.
finally found a hotel room, like the last one available. So it's insane what goes into the high school sports here. But it's a great home field advantage for them because I have had coaches come up to me like when they come to travel here where they were like, yeah, my star player is just puking his brains out on the boat. Like it was a rough ride. And then they don't play well when they're over here. But the Nantucket kids are used to it because they're always traveling. So there's a huge like home field for these kids too. So it's, but yeah. So it's like, especially come tournament time, they can get a high seed. That's always huge because then they're making teams travel here for state quarterfinals, and a ton goes into it. There's so many logistics, which credit to the athletic department here. Like the old former athletic director, Chris Morey, current one, Travis Lombardi with his assistant, Matt Hunt, like those guys, what they have to do, like they're sweating about like the boats and whether they're going to run. And like, there's just so much work that goes into high school sports running here. And from the players to the coaches to the athletic department, it's amazing what they all do.
Yeah, I mean that I never like when you said home field advantage, I'm like, oh, he's gonna say like, a lot of people don't make the trip to sort of watch their kids play on Nantucket. It's obviously a lot to make that happen. But I never really considered the fact of like the actual team coming in and having a bad boat ride or like just not being used to like, a 3-hour travel experience to do it. Whereas the Nantucket kids are doing that all the time. So no, that's definitely something that never really crossed my mind there. So some good insight there, and shout out to all the people that make that happen. That's
Yeah, it's
obviously,
unbelievable.
a completely like added layer to everything. Biggie, any comments on any of that?
Yeah, I just think like all the details that you mentioned, like everything, every little thing has been thought of because I think if you let any little detail go, like something could go awry. And I think that is something that really doesn't get thought of a lot, especially when you start thinking about, Nantucket and how they compete against others across the state.
Yeah, like they like the Cape. So they're in the Cape and Islands. So like they'll play a lot of Cape teams: Sandwich, Dennis Yarmouth, Falmouth, Nauset. But sometimes it can be be a challenge to get teams to come here, especially in like the winter, like to come play games. It can be difficult. The only time they don't really have a lot of issues is like right now for scrimmages because like there's scrimmages this weekend, I think, and the teams come over. They play at like 10 a.m. and then they just go to the beach and they just hang out on Nantucket for the day. And then so it's never hard to get like preseason scrimmages in the fall. And then like I would say even September, like in like weekend games and stuff, like teams will want to come out here. Like, yeah, we want to go to the beach. Like we'll go play Nantucket,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, they're living the best of all lives there if they're coming out
Yeah.
to play some games on the island at this time for sure. We talked a little bit about this, David. You mentioned Nantucket's a very interesting place, always a lot of different things going on island. You have any good stories or anything that comes to mind in terms of any athletes or sports figures that have been on the island and anything that you've seen from your standpoint over the last few years?
Yeah, it's crazy to me, like how much they just like especially NHL players, they just kind of like immerse themselves on the island and no one recognizes them. A few weeks ago, I was driving on Old South Road. Anybody who, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Nantucket, but it's like a busier road.
Yeah,
You get to
yeah.
the top and there's a rotary. It's right by my apartment. I'm like driving up and like I look to my right and it's just Nathan McKinnon going for a run. Like, and I know it was him because it looked exactly like him. And I knew he was on the island because a friend sent me a picture of him at the gazebo like 2 nights prior. And I just look, oh, he's just casually going for a run. I was just like, only on Nantucket are you going to see that. I met Noah Hannafin a couple times, Jack Eichel. There's all sorts of guys. The Spittin' Chicklets guys are out here. I've met Keith Yandel several times. I get along with him. There's so many players that I've met. I saw Chase Winovich at the Chicken Box, former Patriot at
What a
defensive
name.
end. Yeah, Chase Winovich, saw him at the box, 4th of July weekend. I went up to him. I was like, "Go Pats." And
Is
he
he
looked at me,
still
just
playing?
smiled. No, he's done. He's done, I think. And he looks at me. He still has his hair, like his long hair. And he like just smiles ear to ear. And he's like, "You recognize me?" I was like, "Of course I do." And I like dapped him up and I went on my way.
There you
But you
He
go.
must
never
have
know.
loved that.
Oh, I think he did. He's a super nice guy because I met him. He always comes to the island, and I've seen him like even when he was with the Patriots, he'd be out here, and he was always super friendly. I actually ran into him for the first time at Stubby's.
There you go. That's always a good
Yeah,
time to run
yeah,
into somebody at Stubby's. You were talking Old South Road. I've been really fortunate to be able to get out to the island for actually the last 5 summers and met a fantastic person who's afforded us a great opportunity to get out there for a week each summer. And this year I was in line at Lemon Press getting a coffee on Monday of All-Star break week for the MLB. And I'm like looking to my left. I'm like, this guy looks fucking familiar as could be. Like, I definitely know who this is, but I can't put a name to it. And then we're standing on the sidewalk waiting for them to shout our names. And I realized it's Aaron Boone. And I was like, damn it. Like, had I recognized him in line, I should have been like, are you going to be a savage ordering your coffee in line today? Like what he said in that, in that video about their batters.
I didn't know he came out here. That's interesting. There's a big like coaching, like, I don't want to say cult. That's not the right word, but there's a lot of coaches that come out here. I mean, have like home. I mean, obviously everybody knows about Belichick, but like Jason Garrett is out here too.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman has been coming out every summer as well. There's like all sorts of coaches. I met Bruce Cassidy was here it was the summer that he won with Vegas after the Bruins fired him, and then he won, and he was out at fundraiser at Cisco. And yeah, there's so coaches are like a big thing too on Nantucket. It's hockey players, and then it's just like head coaches.
It's super interesting because I feel like I hear a lot about like coaches and athletes and like who play in the NFL and other leagues. I typically have not heard a lot of hockey players. And it kind of makes sense that you don't hear about
Tons.
them as much because they kind of blend in a little bit better more than, basketball players or football players because of just the sheer size of those guys.
Hockey players by far and away, I think, are the ones that come out here the most. I never saw him, but I guess Daniel Jones was spotted at the gazebo like 4 years ago, just like having mudslides by himself, like just having. I don't know how you don't recognize Daniel Jones. He's a big guy. He's like 6'6". Bruins. There was a point I met about 6 Bruins one night at the Chicken Box a month after they lost to the Blues, and I got to tell you right now, the coolest guy you'll ever meet is Sean Corrali.
I believe it.
That guy is the freaking man. I saw him at the, I'm not trying to ramble here, but I saw him at the Chicken Box from like afar. And like, I'm a huge Bruins fan. I was like, holy shit, that's Sean Corali. So I was like, I had a few in me. I was like, I'm just going to go up to him. I'm not going to be like annoying about it. I'm just going to like give him a tap. And so I'm like, yo, Corali. He's like, you recognize me? Same thing that Winovich said to me. I was like, yeah. He's like, hell yeah, brother. And then he like daps me up. And literally on and off was talking to him, I think for like 3 to 4 hours that night. And eventually it came up like the Stanley Cup. He's like, yeah, I really don't want to talk about that. We're all pretty fucking depressed, like obviously. And so then like we don't talk about it for a little bit. And I say to him like, was there any guy on the Blues that like just really pissed you off? And he looks at me and he's like, Oscar Sundquist, like immediately. So he was a fourth liner. I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. He's like, I fucking hate Oscar Sundquist. So he's like, get your phone out. He has me go on YouTube. I think I was on YouTube. Look up him fighting Oscar Sundquist in the AHL. And so it's me, Sean Corali, and there were a few other Bruins. I don't know if they were gathered around me at this time, but we're all just watching him like fight Oscar Sundquist in the middle of the Chicken Box. It was awesome.
Only
That's so cool.
in Nantucket can something like that happen. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, I do think a lot of athletes and coaches do sort of go to the island because it is a place where you can sort of blend in, and if somebody does come up to you, it's usually a pretty positive sort of interaction that you have. And I think that's one of the unique parts of the island is like there's people from so many different backgrounds, and obviously you talk about money in Nantucket, and that goes hand in hand. But like, you can have a billionaire standing next to, a person who, is just working a job at Stop and Shop, right? Like that's the way it goes in Nantucket. So awesome insight and some fun stories there. The Chicken Box always produces some good stories for sure. Biggie, let's talk a little more sports on Nantucket.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit of recreational sports. I know that recreational sports are big on the island. What are some events each year that take place that are big for recreational sports?
So the biggest recreational sport I would personally like, I know like I'm not as in tune with like the pickleball community out here and stuff, but pickleball's big out here. There's a frisbee golf course here, and the big I consider a recreational sport is running. There are so many 5Ks out here, and like so one of the biggest events really of the year on Nantucket is their triathlon, which I don't know if that falls under what you were saying.
Oh,
but
I think so. I think it falls under for sure.
Oh yeah, it's the triathlon. There'll be like over 700 people competing. It's one of those things where like you have all different kinds of people. Someone who I run into now every year there is Teddy Bruschi. His kid Dante always competes in it. So Bruschi will go like walking up and down the course, just like ringing a cowbell the whole time, and he'll be blasting music. He'll have like a radio, and he's with like the whole family, and he's just like cheering people on. That's definitely, and it's like 6 in the morning. Like it starts super early. So that's like, I think the biggest event.
When
The
does that take
tryout.
place?
That's in July. So it's usually middle of July. And then the week after is Swim Across America, Nantucket. So Joe Rothke and Jim Pignato, they've done it raises money for cancer research and for like all like the treatment centers and facilities on Nantucket. So more islanders can get treated here rather than have to get med flighted. And Jim and Jill have kind of like, they spearheaded like the whole movement that gets the whole fundraiser here. They've done an incredible job, and it raises like over $1 million now every year. And there will be hundreds of swimmers that will go out to Jetty's Beach. So that's become a huge event as well. And they're like back-to-back weekends.
That's such a cool like event that takes place and has such a great impact on the community. Really, really cool that that's like become such a really huge event for the island.
But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great event. I always like covering it. You hear some great feel-good stories there too that just give you a perspective. So
I think that the island does a great job with those sorts of things and the opportunities to raise money and as you mentioned, the 5Ks. I think there's another big sport out there, in my opinion, David, and I think that there's some great golf in Nantucket in terms of some public courses, and obviously, you're doing the bluff walk out in Sconset, and you go all the way out to the lighthouse, and you see people playing golf on Sankaty, and you're like, damn, that's a pretty nice place to be able to go play 18 for a day. So there's some
absolutely.
great golf
Yeah.
out there, and then all the aquatic things from you got, I guess you'll call it sport fishing, and some of the things that go on from that standpoint, and some of the things that you see people bringing in to the docks, and you got sailing going on out there as well. So like I think that's one of the coolest parts of the island. Like
Mhm.
you have everything on island, but you have it off island as well for sure.
And the surfing too. Surfing's a big one out here. There's some surf schools out here. And yeah, like the fishing, like the August Blues fishing tournament is always a big one. That's another Teddy Bruschi's a big fisherman. He always competes in that as well. And that's a yeah. Fishing is huge out here. That's a good one.
Shout out to the Axe Surf School who does their daily sort of report on the Instagram. That's one of my favorite things to see, especially when I'm on island, because nobody is close to fishermen's and Surfside where I usually end up. So it's like, all right, let's see what's going on, and then
Yeah, man, he's the
love that
best.
part of every day.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep talking a little sports, and then we'll transition to the lightning round. But David, we were talking a little bit pre-show about the Red Sox and the Patriots. So just want to get any of your thoughts on, how this Red Sox season has gone, your take on, the season. And then anything from a Patriots standpoint, any predictions you have or what you're looking forward to with the season kicking off here in just a few weeks.
We'll start with the Red Sox. I mean, I know they're going to Miami to play 3 games against the Marlins, but like this Yankee series this weekend is going to be awesome. I mean, it's a huge series for both. I think it's bigger for the Red Sox because if you look at worst case scenario for both teams, like the Yankees could essentially knock the Red Sox out of contention for that first wild card. Even if the Red Sox swept the Yankees, like the Yankees are still going to be within a game or two. But regardless, I'm excited for the series this weekend. And overall, I mean, this season has been, I don't know what you guys think. This is as fun as I've had in years, probably since the mid 2000s watching the Red Sox. I mean, it's something new every game. It's just they find different ways to win. I mean, just the other night I was out at one of the bars downtown Nantucket, and they come back down 2-0, bottom of the ninth, score 3. It's like, I'm like surprised at this point. It's amazing what they're doing. And it's not like their lineup is spectacular. I mean, they have some nice players, but it's not like they have a loaded lineup. And, you're without Roman Anthony. You don't have Garrett Crochet. And so, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you can get Anthony back and even get Crochet back to throw a couple innings. I know it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to start, but if he can stretch himself out to throw 2 innings like he said he might be able to do, and you could throw him into that bullpen, like, they're going to have a legit shot. Like, I think they're very much for real. I don't know what you guys think.
Eric, go ahead.
I think there's something about them that they have. Like there's some camaraderie, and I think a lot of it stems with a lot of these guys who come up and contributed throughout the season. A Monasterio, a Nick Sogard, a Mickey Gasper. These guys who weren't really guys that people were thinking of at the beginning of the season that were going to come up and contribute. And listen, I know Trevor Story wants to come in and play, and I kind of at this point, why mess with a good thing? Like, why? What is injecting him into the lineup going to do that's going to be better than what you have out there right now?
I agree. I'm like, I had someone text me today actually saying like they want Story nowhere near this team, and I can't say, but I mean, I want Monasterio. I think Monasterio has been awesome. It's amazing to me that I feel like he gets a hit every time he's up. and he has averaged like 269 every single time I look. And I think they even mentioned it on the broadcast the other day. Like, how is this guy not batting at least 280? Because he's getting on base like every time he's up. But yeah, so like Trevor Story, like, yeah, I take your time. I am much more receptive to Roman Anthony coming back, filling Jaren Duran's role. And obviously Crochet, just to have him back in any capacity would be amazing. But yeah, Story can wait.
I
I
think one
think.
thing that's interesting about the Roman Anthony coming in and potentially pushing Jaren Duran aside is Durant could be someone electric off the bench if you need a pinch hit or a pinch runner because he is fast around the bases. So that's just another weapon that could be utilized for the Sox that I don't think a lot of people really started to think about because obviously we need Anthony here first. But I know Duran is very polarizing in a lot of ways, but I do see him still contributing to this team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, Duran, just his speed on the base pass alone. I mean, just having him as a pinch runner, but like I still have faith. I mean, look, when he gets hot, he can be as dangerous as anyone. I mean, he's shown that. I mean, it's just a few years ago where he was one of the top 20 players in baseball, would you say? I mean,
Yeah,
when he batted
that
over 280, had like 14 triples. I mean, I know he isn't the same guy anymore, but he has that ability for sure. Yeah.
he was an all-star player that year for maybe like top 10 in MVP voting.
All-Star
But
MVP.
I think that the biggest the
Yeah.
biggest thing the biggest thing for Roman Anthony coming back is what it does to your roster and in the outfield. And Yoshida going down, who had become a pretty solid bat in your lineup. So DH has sort of been a rotating cast of characters right now for them. And I think Anthony coming back allows you to, put him at DH. Willie Abreu potentially at DH. Contreras might be able to get some more time. Like, I think there's a lot of things that they can do with him coming back, and the more arms, the better, right? Like you need to be able to go into the playoffs with every sort of weapon you have.
What do
Go
you
ahead.
what do you guys think? So one thing that's been ticking me off, I'm curious what you guys think, is booing Contreras on some of these things where he's not running it out. The guy has been unbelievable this year. Like, I get it. There's some times where maybe he could run a little harder, but like, I think he's probably hurt. And I'm like, why are we booing him? Like, he gets booed worse than, like, I thought Devers should have been blown out of that stadium with boos, and he wasn't. And it's like, Contreras is getting booed more for not running down the base path than Devers did when he came
It's
back.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I-
I mean, Contreras, like you said, has been one of their best players. They should not be booing one of their best
No,
players. It's
no,
just, it's poor
absolutely
form.
not. I hate
Think
it. I have no idea what Red Sox fans are doing. Like, stop.
No, but I mean, I don't know. I was there yesterday and he dogged it. He like, it's not even the fact, like, I don't care if you know that you're going to be out, but he's like, barely, my grandma's walking faster than him, getting down the line. Like, he really just is not giving any sort of effort. And I think, I don't know, my opinion is, as a fan, like, you bought the ticket, like, you're allowed to sort of go and have your reaction and do it, as long as it's not hurting anybody else or you're saying anything that's out of line. Like,
Yeah.
do what you
Yeah.
please. I don't know. And Devers yesterday, at least for the times that he was at bat, he was booed pretty heavily from what we heard, like probably
Okay.
80-20 from
Yeah.
my standpoint being there yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my favorite player growing up was Manny, so I don't really care about dogging it, I guess, as long as you produce. So, I mean,
That being
it's
said,
a different perspective. But
like, yeah. Well, you also know Contreras is an absolute hothead, right? And like, we'll take it. Like,
yeah.
he got into it and was jawing with the fan. It's like, just give the guy a break. Like, yeah, he's hitting almost 300 and has put up a season that's more than made up for, how we all felt about Alex Bregman leaving this team when that happened. So I agree, David. It's been a magical season. They just find ways to win. It feels like every night is something different in terms of how they get there. And this series against the Yankees this week will definitely be exciting. Any thoughts on the Pats and their season coming up, and just what you're looking forward to from a Patriots season?
I can't wait for this season to start. Yeah. Vrabel said the other day, I think he said, like, what was it, 2 days ago? Like, oh, we're not a very deep team, because they were asking why he's not playing starters. He's kind of right. I mean, it's certain spots I think they have more depth, but I mean, I think they're thin at offensive line. Julian Hill got hurt, so they're going to be relying on Raritan to be the number 2 tight end. I mean, I'm very concerned about their edges and their linebackers. Spillane and Ellis, I trust at linebacker. After that, I'm not sure. The edge, I mean, Harold Landry has even been on the field yet, so we don't know what is going on with him. I'm not that worried about corner. I think it's going to be fine. I'm not that concerned about corner, but No, I mean, look, I think that do I think they're gonna win 14 games again? Which, by the way, I did a street interview segment last year asking people on the island to predict the Patriots record, and I found a girl who predicted 14-3,
Here we go.
That's
which is
insane.
wild. Yeah, I did. I know. It went like she posted on like her own account and it like went viral on TikTok. But anyways, yeah, I don't think they're gonna win 14 games, but like I still think they're gonna be a better team. Like I feel like you hear like on talk radio, oh, are they gonna be better or worse than last year? And they're just basing it on the record. And it's like I could see them winning 11 or 12 games this year, but being a better product, like being a better football team. You know what I mean? It's just the schedule is going to be harder this year. And teams are going to be taking them way more serious, I think, as well. I don't know what you guys think, but
I'm really interested to see how the defense does. I think like the one thing that I noticed in these two preseason games, like you said, the depth, the defense looks really thin outside the starters. And I think the offenses that this defense is going to face this year are going to be significantly better than what they faced last year. I think the offense really passed their test last year because while they, didn't play teams with the greatest of records, they played a lot of really good defenses, which I think really kind of got buried under the record. So I'm really curious to see what happens with the defense. But yeah, it's been a little brutal watching these preseason games with some of these
yeah.
backups in there.
I could see with roster cuts coming soon, the Patriots looking at some surprise cuts and who else they might be able to bring in on the defensive side of the ball. And offensively, we've already seen them to make some moves on the line with a couple injuries that have taken place here. So, and obviously a move made today with Kayshon Boutte getting shipped out for I think it's Jalen Reed
Jalen Reed.
and a 7th round pick.
Safety.
So like they're trying to get a little more depth there at that safety position. You only got Byard on a 1-year deal. Obviously, he's a great player, but Vrabel sort of flat out said it. He's like, they have some concerns. So it'll be interesting to see how they address that between now and the start of the season. I think you'll see a couple levers pulled from that standpoint. Biggie, anything else on the pass you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just think it was interesting about the trade. I think they were trying to honestly do right by Boutte. I think Boutte was honestly a good soldier, kind of coming in all spring and summer, knowing that this was a place he had no spot. So the return, I don't love it, but I think it's more to help out Boutte than it is about what they're getting back than anything else.
Yeah,
I despise the trade. I can't stand. I understand it. I just hate the return. I hate that it's happening so close to the season. Like the question, like they're not going to extend him. Obviously, like they're paying Brown now. They just paid Dobbs. I get it, but like at this point, the question is: would you rather have Kayshon Boutte for 1 year this year? Or would you rather have Jalen Reed in a 2028 7th? I think. I mean, I'd rather have Boutte for the year.
No, you're not wrong. I think there's two reasons why this trade really happened. I think the first one is that they weren't going to give Boutte that money on a new contract, as you just mentioned, David. I think another thing is it's a statement on the wide receiver room and the roster, right? I think a lot of the noise out of camp has been the wide receiver group is perhaps the one with the most depth and one that was probably the strongest for the Patriots going into this season. And so maybe they felt like they had the opportunity to make a move without making too much impact there. I think the other thing too was like a lot of people were saying, you're really going to carry 7 receivers on the roster that are all sort of opportunity, guys that should have opportunity. I honestly think this might have had more to do with that and bringing in a player on that defensive side of the ball and giving you a little bit more roster flexibility to do some things there. So I agree. The return, not great, but sort of a move where it's like, at least you get something out of doing it as opposed to this 1 year. He only had 33 catches last year. Like we're not talking about a guy that's putting up staggering numbers.
He did get hurt though.
He was a big play. He's a big play threat. He's a big play guy and somebody that may definitely did well with. But I think a guy like, if you told me like, oh, you could have Boutte or you can bring in Dobbs, like I'll take Dobbs and AJ Brown.
I think Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Oh, no, you go. No, you go. And I'll go after.
I was going to say, I think we're going to look back at the end of the season, and I think Boutte's going to have a really good season down in Houston because he's opposite him is Nico Collins, and I don't know if he's stepping in as the number 2 or the number 3, but he's going to get a lot of opportunity down there. With who just got injured on is it Jalen?
Well, Jaden Higgins got hurt. Who's the other X? So he was the other outside receiver, and so yeah, he'll get more time. I mean, he got hurt. I think people forget that Boutte had gotten hurt. I think he missed 5 or so games last year. He was on pace for almost 1,000 yards last year before he got hurt. And
You're right about that.
I just, again, I see what you're saying, and I think they wanted to keep Chisholm because Pop Douglas is in the final year of his deal. I don't think they're going to pay him, so I think they might look at Chisholm as maybe being a guy to replace Pop. And then I saw Andrew Callahan say that this also has something to do with Kyle Williams. I guess they like what they've seen from Kyle Williams.
I think
So
like those two guys that you just mentioned, Efton Chisholm, I think has had a great preseason from what I've seen so far, and I've heard that he's had a really good camp. And Kyle Williams, I think a lot of people will say that he's a mixed bag, but one, he makes a play every week that's electric, and all he just needs is opportunity. And I think this is opening up the door to him maybe getting a little bit more opportunity this year.
I think the other thing with Kyle Williams that you can't really grade the preseason on is you had fucking Tommy DeVito throwing him the ball and not Drake May. Like those are two completely different things there. So I do think Kyle Williams will be a good player for this team. So looking forward to it as well. I think it's a huge game to start the season out in Seattle. Can you get a little retribution of for last Super Bowl and how everything ended? It'd be a good way to get into the season. So appreciate your takes, David, on the Sox and the Patriots. We're going to jump into the lightning round and wrap a few things up here. So whatever is the first thing that comes to mind here when we ask these questions, David. So let's get started. The first one is, what's the best place to watch a game on the island? Where do you go when it's, you want to tune into a big game?
the Chicken Box, when they have their projector down, is the best place to go. They'll put the projector down right in front of the stage. I mean, it wasn't a great memory, but the game 7 against the Heat when Tatum got hurt, like in the first 15 seconds, I was watching at the box. And that venue, when they put that down, is incredible. I think it's the best one in the island.
Love it. So the box always has great stuff going on. Great place to watch sports. Obviously, the great musical acts that come through there. So shout out to PIKE. We love PIKE.
PIKE and Rocky Fox.
Yeah,
PIKE
I mean,
and Rocky
and
Fox.
Felger and Mash just did their broadcast there. Did you get to
Yes, I
that?
did.
You were there, no?
I did, yeah. I met Felger about 4 years ago. I interviewed him. He's one of the really good media guys I've met. And I know people are gonna be shocked by that. He's a really good guy. Because I know he plays the tough guy thing on the radio, but he's a very, very good guy. I was talking to him during the commercial breaks at the show, and I appreciate Felger. He's always been very gracious with his time.
We're big fans of him.
Love him.
He's lit up our afternoons for many a years now with hot takes or facilitation, depending on which Felger you're getting.
And you know who else I absolutely love is Stu, who I know is a friend of this podcast. I love Stu. I've never gotten to meet him, but he makes me laugh. I think his phone is the best source in New England, and hopefully one day I get to meet Stu. I like him.
Whenever he chimes in on the show, you know that something is coming because
Yeah.
Jimmy is not just
Yeah.
going to chime in for no reason.
But but the funny thing is, I'm not going to speak for him, but I feel like there's also times where he just messes with them a little bit. He just has like an idea in his head. He's like, "What do you guys think about so and so going here?" And then Felger will be like, and Maz will be like, "What's your phone saying?" You're like, "Nothing, just an observation." And it's like, so he's great. He's great.
I said to Jay Stu, I don't know if I said it to him on the show or before or after we were talking with him. I'm like, you have the largest wooden spoon in all of Boston, and you take that thing and you just stir the pot whenever you feel like it, and it gets a lot of stuff going. So
Yeah.
he knows he does, and he enjoys it. Even actually, if you haven't listened to our episode with Jay Stu, that's like definitely a Hall of Fame episode of ours. So shout out to the entire Felger and Maz operation and all the fine folks at 98.5. Big E, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, this is a real tough one. So David, if you have more than one, I'm not gonna be upset. But what is your favorite restaurant on the island? I know there are so many good restaurants, so this might be a hard one to nail down to one. So if you have a few, that's okay.
My goodness. Yeah. I mean, I got Tavern at the Tavern Gazebo. So I love Tavern because my favorite seat on the island is the corner outside seat at Tavern because you can just watch people coming off the ferry. I don't know, Josh. I don't know if you know from if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Top side at the Tavern, overlooking the sidewalk, and that's prime time.
And then you eat and you can have some drink stuff, and you just walk right over the gazebo. So Tavern is really nice, like for a casual thing. Really like Brotherhood. I like Slip. I mean, there's so many. There's so many that I enjoy over there. Sea Girl is very good. Fusaro's for Italian.
Seagrill's a classic. Love Millie's as well. If you get out of town, out to
Yeah.
Nantucket, Millie's is
Yeah.
catch a sunset and go grab a margarita over there. Always a good
Yep.
time. And the one place that I went to that I hadn't been to was a summer house out in Sconset. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
been there, but that place was like right out of a movie, like incredible.
Yeah. I actually have not been there, like, I've been, like, in that area a million
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
I've never actually gone to the summer house, like, for a lunch or anything, but I do need to get there because 'cause
Do
I've
it.
seen for
Worth it.
some reason, some of my friends, like, have posted on their Instagram stories, and like, it's just gorgeous. I mean, like, the whole scenery, and I heard the food's very good.
It was. That's what was most surprising. It was like, all right, they got the scenery down and they got the food down. So good stuff there. We were talking a little bit about this earlier with the Axe Surf Report, but what's your favorite beach to go to on the island, David?
I love Nobodier. I'd probably have to go Nobodier Beach, just if I'm, like, trying to, socialize and mingle with people, because you can walk up and down that beach, and maybe it's just because 'cause I'm a local, but I feel like when I walk up and down, like, I'll find people I know, and so I enjoy that. If I'm trying to be more low key, I love Surfside. I like Stones, and I love Steps. Have you been to Steps?
Steps is I've been once, but
It's
it's been
nice.
at least 4 or 5 years since I've been there.
I love Steps Beach. I love Steps. I love jetties. I mean, you can't go wrong. But if I had I'm naming like all the beaches now, but like I would say probably Nobody, Steps, and jetties would be my top.
Yeah, and jetties in particular, I'm repping a sandbar hat tonight, and
Yeah.
there is nothing quite like coming up from a day at Jetties Beach and then going to grab yourself a drink over at the sandbar. So, I don't know if you've seen Cranberry Alarm Clock over there on a Sunday,
Yeah.
but that's always a good time. So,
Yeah.
sandbar, love it. Always fantastic places. And we'll end here. This is a good one. We're talking about the sandbar. Your favorite place to grab a drink, David? You've mentioned a few of them, but there's lots
And
of
what are you
places.
drinking?
Yes, that's a good point. Favorite, maybe that's it. Never mind the places to drink because they're all fantastic. What's your favorite drink on the island at any of the places?
So it's not even close for me, and all my friends know about this. So my favorite drink by far is a mudslide at the Gazebo. I have purchased and consumed the first mudslide of the season at Gazebo 6 straight years. So I'm a very close friend of the Gazebo. Actually, this year my friend had his bachelor party in Fort Lauderdale from May 7th to the 10th, and the Gazebo was opening on May 8th. So I was like, crap. I was like, I can't. I have to have the street go. And the Gazebo is the last year of the Gazebo, as I'm sure you guys know. I wrote that story for the Current that it's going to be ending. I was like, I gotta keep the streak going. So I called Luke Tedeschi, and I was like, Luke, like, I have a bachelor party. I'm gonna be in Florida when you guys open. Like, is there any chance I can you can open for like 20 minutes? Let me buy a mudslide, just so I can keep the streak going. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, like I think it was Wednesday. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. He opened it up, and I was able to get my mudslide at like 11:30 in the morning on a Wednesday to keep the streak going at 6. So that's
God
you know,
willing,
yeah.
somebody is able to take over the gazebo and keep it going. Obviously, one of the finest places to be able to enjoy a cocktail, whether you're on your way in, whether you're on your way out,
Yeah.
or whether you're on the island for a while. The gazebo is one of those institutions for sure. David, really appreciate your time. Nantucket's one of the best places there is in all of Earth. We love everything that the Current and that you're doing. Where can the folks follow you? Where can they find the Current on the socials? And we'll end with that.
Yeah, so I mean, the people can follow us. Just Nantucket Current on Instagram. We're on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. We're on everything. I think we even have a Threads account. So you can just follow us there. I think we're at 188,000 followers or something. We're trying to get to 200 before the end of the year. So that's our goal right now.
Excellent. Hopefully this can help get a little boost going for you guys. As we said, really appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your week and night ahead. Good luck with all the sports seasons that are starting to get going with fall stuff. And we'll see you down the line. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks again, David. It was
Love it.
awesome
Take
having
care.
you on.
Excellent.
What a guy.
David Creed fit right in as always. Fantastic guest. I've been looking forward to that one for a while, Biggie. Nantucket, special place. Enjoy getting to go there and getting to connect with David was awesome. So really appreciate his time.
It's just, making me want to go to Nantucket more and more. It's on the bucket list. I haven't been there yet. So
Well,
we might have to write that wrong next summer.
Definitely opportunity to get there. The best part is that it is accessible for us, which is great. We did some Red Sox, we did some Patriots with David. I loved our talk there, but let's just start here, Biggie. Anything else on the Red Sox that you want to recap from the week that was, preview with the rest of the season ahead?
Yeah, a couple things I want to chat about is I think going into last week, there was certainly a little bit of skepticism. The Sox, really kind of hit their first skid since really mid-June when they've just been on a tear. And we had talked a little bit about making sure that they were going to go on a tear. And did they go on a tear? I think, they took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, which, hey, at the end of the day, win a series. If you win almost every series, you're doing something right. But to me, the more impressive thing was you have San Francisco coming into town, Rafi coming here, and you sweep San Francisco. But the thing isn't that you sweep San Francisco, it's the fact that you come back in all 3 games. And I know David touched on this one with that Saturday night game, but that Saturday game being a game where they were down 2-0 in the bottom of the ninth and doing just as much as they needed to get to where they needed to get the win was great. And it was great to see Rushman come alive and start hitting the ball a little bit after he kind of been a strikeout machine and not really kind of making contact with the ball. So that was awesome. Nick Sogard just seems to come up with a clutch hit every single game. So again, another reason why you keep someone like Trevor Story away is you got to give opportunities to guys like this who have earned it. And I just think in general, it is an exciting time to be a Red Sox fan. Going back 3 months ago, I was so skeptical about this team. But I think after this week, I've officially become a believer. And you can clip that right now. You can say whatever you want, but I am fully on board.
I think you have it's great to have you on the wagon, which is always good when the Fenway Five are on the other side and we're all invested in the team. But no, you have every right to have felt the way that you felt this season. It's true. I think that's the part of the season that can't be understated enough, is how bad they were for the first 3 months, and that we're sitting here at the end of August with the opportunity going into a series against the Yankees to potentially take over the first wild card spot by the end of this week. Like, that was unfathomable 3 months ago. And so this team has done a lot to earn the respect and the gratitude of the fans. It's been a great home environment for them. I think the series against San Francisco, and as you said, Biggie, they went on the skid, but then they win 5 out of 6 the next week, right? It's like, okay, who is this team? Can they rebound? Can they sort of get back to their ways and not let a skid like that really derail things? And they've been able to bounce back, which has been great to see. All those guys that have stepped up, and then you see all these guys like a Durbin and an Eli White and a Sogard, legging out singles into doubles and making some incredible slides. That slide that Durbin had at home plate the other night was unbelievable to be able to get that run in. And like
Mickey fucking Gasper, like that dude.
Mickey Gasper after, exactly Weiser, who, if there's one guy that should be off this team, it's Greg fucking Weiser. That guy comes in and you're ready to see things blow up. On the flip side, you can't understate the pitching. You've had a Cy Young candidate in Sonny Gray go out there every fifth day being unbelievable. Suarez has been steady going tonight, only gave up 1 run. He was a little shaky to start. You've found something in Tolley and in Bennett. Tolley could be, a number 1, number 2 sort of guy if he continues on his trajectory. Bennett, I think his first year still getting his legs under him, but he pitched yesterday and had a really shaky start. But he got out of the jam. He went 7 innings and was able to, he kept his pitch count down and, was able to get 7 innings in. And then a guy that has to get some credit that we really haven't brought up on the show in a very long time is Brian Bale, because what he's done out of the bullpen and the long relief role that he's been put in for this team and what he's done has just been tremendous. So the pitching combined with some of these guys that come out of sort of nowhere to be able to help this team, and guys like Abreu and Contreras and Rafaela, your 2, 3, 4 guys playing to their potential. This was the team that they sort of hoped that they would have, and it's sort of all come together for them at the perfect time.
My big question right now is, and I think this is the only looming question, is when does that interim tag get removed from Chad Tracy's title? Because I don't see any reason why they would not sign him to a contract after what he's been able to do since, what was it, like April 24th?
At this point, you don't do a thing until the end of the season, and I think for more so the reason of like, not that you want to hold anybody's feet to the fire, but don't fuck with anything. The same way that we just said, don't bring Trevor Story like a hen in the hen house, and like just leave him at the interim manager. You kind of know exactly what you want to do with him at the end of this year. He's earned it undoubtedly. But I don't think you do anything from a title standpoint until you get to the end of the season.
I agree. I think to me, it's just about the fact that the dude has earned it. And I think the fact that I think he is the reason why they have played so well is because he has the ability to connect with the players. And a lot of these players who have come up that really have had no expectations were guys that were in the minors, where Chad Tracy was the AAA manager at the Woo Sox. So I think there is some direct correlation with how those guys have come in, played with really no expectations, and they have far exceeded what anyone thought that they could do this year.
Absolutely. So it's been great. Hopefully they can win another series against Miami, go into that series against the Yankees with, a big opportunity to potentially move into that first wild card spot. So Red Sox carry on. And the Patriots, we had a little bit of talk with David there as well. We really broke down that Keyshawn Boutte trade. But anything from the week that was with the joint practices against Philly or the slog of a preseason game that was on Saturday night, any takeaways from the Patriots week?
Yeah, I just think that preseason games are hard to watch. And I think, I think I remember before week one, I was so excited for the first preseason game because it's just live football. And do not get me wrong, I am pumped to watch preseason, but like it's not the same product as what you see during the regular season. You have not seen any of the starters come out for the Patriots yet. And I don't expect you're going to see any of them in this upcoming game on Thursday as well. So at the end of the day, if all you're going to see is backups and third stringers, you're going to get the product that you're going to see on the field is going to be indicative of the players that are playing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think that top end talent on this team is top end talent, and as we talked about, is an improvement over last year's top end talent. So Variable's comments were interesting in terms of the depth on this team. It's like, well, you talk, yeah, that maybe on the latter half of the roster, but we haven't seen any of the top 25, 30 players get a rep yet. So like, I don't know. It's hard to evaluate that, at least from the fan standpoint. The game, I really didn't tune in too much. My biggest thing in the game was whenever they trotted out Borealis, if he was going to be better or not. Only had one field goal attempt, but he did hit all 3 extra points. Behringer got hurt, which was not good, and they had to sign a punter today. I forget who he was.
Matt Hack. Matt
There
Hack.
you go.
And I thought the real interesting thing about the game was Becton Morton was back there punting in the third and fourth quarter, which and credit to Vrabel. Vrabel played it off like, yeah, he did it in high school and we wanted to just see what he was capable of doing. But it really was due to the fact that Behringer got hurt, which, that is a really underrated injury because Behringer is a weapon. He can boom the ball. And I think earlier in this preseason, he had a punt, I think that was up there for like almost 4.9 seconds. That's great for your team to get there and get to the returner. So hopefully Matt Hack can come in and be a good replacement, but hopefully Behringer isn't on the shelf for too long.
You do need to be able to flip the field, and hopefully not too bad of an injury for him. A couple other guys that have brought in, Jack Connolly brought in along the O line, sort of a swing guard and tackle, so some depth there after Marcus Bryant went down. So injuries at this time of year are awful because, you're sort of preparing for the season, but then you have some unfortunate things happen there. So season gets going. We'll recap this final game for preseason against the Browns, although I really don't think there'll be anything to really pick at. And then, roster cuts come and into game number 1 of the NFL calendar against Seattle 2 weeks from Wednesday, my friend. It's almost here. We're almost ready to rock.
Yeah, one last thought though too. I do want to touch on the fact that Mike Vrabel said that the team, isn't as deep as they probably could be. And I think a lot of this comes down to specifically when you look against the opponent who they were going up against last week in the Eagles. The Eagles have done a tremendous job for, I would say, almost a decade with drafting. And you can see what that impact does to the team, not just at the starter level, but from the backups and the third stringers. It was pretty evident in that game that the Eagles were the better team than the Patriots for the talent that was being played on the field. So, it's been great that we've had hopefully a good draft last year and hopefully a good draft this year. The Patriots need to continue to build on that for multiple years to come in order to get to a place where the Eagles are right now and where the Patriots ultimately want to be.
Absolutely. I mean, you go back and you look at the 2024 draft, and outside of Drake May, that is a complete and utter failure. Last year was pretty solid, but you do need these guys to take a second year jump. This year, obviously too early to tell. But before that, it was just a complete cluster, when it came to drafting in this team. So work to go. I do agree, though. I think this team is in line to have another good season. We'll sort of do all of our predictions and really get into it in the next 2 episodes as we head into that first game. So great stuff there on the Patriots. I do want to make one quick note on college football, as that's going to be getting started as well. Next week, the great John Meter Perrell, voice of the BC Eagles, joining us to talk college football, a little Boston College Eagles football as well. So looking forward to having Meter on.
Do not be surprised if BC is much closer to where they were 2 years ago than where they were last year, this year. So, or like, I'm expecting a big bounce back year for the BC Eagles.
They have to have it. They really do. If they in a down ACC, what an opportunity to sort of get back into the mix. And I remember having Galtieri on and him sort of talking about some more funds that were becoming available to BC. So we'll see if that sort of comes into play. So lots of college football coming next week as well. There is absolutely no news when it comes to the Celtics and Bruins, so we really aren't going to say anything about that. So
Enjoy your off season, boys.
we're going to transition. Yes, they're out in Nantucket having some fun. It's been a while. It's the only two of us tonight, Big E. So you know what that means. It's time to have some fun. Let's go off the rails a little bit. Let's start with the Bravo boys. The Bravo boys are here. Yes, as you said wisely on the last episode, this really is a segment so that you, as a gentleman, can keep up with what your significant other is watching day in and day out across the fine channel of Bravo. So first on deck, Carl and Lindsay. Have you seen what's going on with them and some of those social media posts?
They are real close, and they're like, it's like, did anything happen? Like, it's like, what happened over the last 3 years? It's like none of that happened, and it's quite interesting. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I think it's good for them. I think it's good for the show. I think it's good for the cast that they are no longer in any sort of animosity towards each other. Does this mean that they're in a relationship? I don't think so, but who knows? Like, there is some familiarity there. And I think, she very much was against him with the idea of him opening up his soft bar, the drink, the sober base bar, which honestly, I think there's a huge market for more of those in the country. So shout out Carl for creating a place that's comfortable and inviting for anyone to come in. And I think Lindsay is just a badass. No one can really tell her anything. She is who she is unapologetically, and I think that's what makes her such a great person to watch on reality TV.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, she's incredible. All the business opportunities that she's got, and I think Carl and Lindsay are just, they're older. They've been doing this for a long time. They're veterans of the game. I think I'm not sure there's anything going on a personal level per se, but I think that so long as they give the appearance and they're doing something that benefits their pockets by doing so, it's a savvy move because here we are talking about it. So hopefully you'll see throughout the course of the season their friendship and whatever else might be going on there continue to get to a better place.
Before we segue to the next topic, because I think this is actually the perfect segue, one thing that you can look forward to with Summer House in the upcoming season is there is a great crossover where they're going to be on the next season of Below Deck Med. So something to kind of look forward to. So far, we've heard pretty good reviews that they were great guests. But I think that's a great time to talk a little bit about what's going on Below Deck Med this season. Have you been paying attention?
So I haven't watched Below Deck in a long time, probably a couple of years, but then sort of looking for a show to just throw on that's I call it mindless TV, right? Like you can throw it on, you can enjoy it, but if you tune out for 15 minutes, you really didn't miss anything in terms of what's going on. Like I think that's the best part about everything that's going on Bravo. But with Below Deck in particular, in this season, you certainly have the whole storyline of the guy Nathan and the girlfriend from the year before, and now they have a kid together. And then you throw in Joe, who seems to not get along with Nathan or the girlfriend. So that's a whole thing. Then you have the news that came out about Nathan a week or two ago in terms of his other sort of off the boat issues, if you will, that are not good for him. And so just a lot of drama in Below Deck. I don't think you'll be seeing Nathan again on another season coming up.
No, I think that is kind of like one of those things where
that ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed, and I think that mark is kind of the end of his Bravo tenure. And shout out to Joe. I thought Joe has stepped into the bosun role while Nathan's been out with a bad back this season and has done a great job. Dare I say he's the Joson that they've needed. I think one other story, too, that we want to talk about, too, is there was a really unfortunate hygienic incident that took place on Below Deck Med this season where one of the deckhands made a deposit on Nathan's bed. And regardless of the news of Nathan, which is not good, no one deserves to have another man's deposit left on your sheets and sat there. So that was a little unsanitary and gross, but yeah, that does not overshadow what he's done off the boat per se.
No, I mean, the whole thing with below deck as well is that you realize like what a crazy lifestyle for these people to be living and, to sort of be on customer service duty 24/7 while you have these guests on and then taking 24 to 48 hours to just absolutely blow off some steam and do it all again. And shout out to all the sort of crew and production people because not only do you have the crew on the boat doing their jobs. You got Captain Sandy doing her thing and all the
She's
guests,
the
but then
best.
you got to have like you got to have at least half a dozen, probably a dozen. I feel like production crew people on the boat, getting things done as well. So quite the operation and a great show. I think they're in double digit season. So that's extended Bravo Boy segment there for you this week. Great stuff, Big E. And keep us moving and grooving into another segment we love each and every week.
Yeah, I think Bravo Boys might be our favorite segment, but I think the group's collective favorite segment is the time that we get to talk about the things that we don't like, the things that kind of, they stink, they're smelly, PU, get out of here, gross, yo, get out of here, all right? And then the things that are the best, the things that make me want to yell from the top of my lungs. Yeah. Who's got a yeah or an oh, yeah this week?
Well, I think we got a few to run through here, Biggie. Let's start with the Yah-Ohs, and we'll end on a good one. The first Yah-Oh going to Jed York, 49ers owner, doing some shady business in East Palestine, Ohio. Did you see this one?
Yeah, nothing good happens in Palestine. So just stay away from there, Jed York. Just in general, like not a good look for an NFL owner to be doing this. And I wouldn't say he's the first one, but he is the one right now that is under the microscope. And especially when you think about those San Francisco 49ers and that substation, maybe the substation is partially to blame here.
Dude, there's talk about a team that, you have this situation with York. You have the whole thing with Kyle Shanahan that really has flown under the radar. And that whole story, I don't even think we've talked about that, but that's a whole
No.
nother thing that's gone on.
How many
The
weeks? How many weeks
substation,
did they not talk about that? That was like what, 2 weeks after the accident where no one
at
reported on it?
least, at least. And he's trying to say that his Tesla was self-driving and like went off the course or whatever. It's like, I don't know about that. I think that, he pulled the coach's card and had some favors done for him.
Yeah, probably. And I just think in general, 49ers, it's just not a good look to start the season. You don't want distractions like this. Like, you don't want distractions like this anytime. But I think especially before the season starts, these are not the types of reasons you want to be in the news. So Jed York, it sounds like he's got some misdemeanors. He's got no felony. So he will probably get by with a slap on the wrist and, nothing crazy from Daddy Goodell. But yeah, it's just not a good look for him personally.
No, no. And if you're it's crazy to me that people of that profile go to those places to be, to do something. To each their own. But like, don't you have like money and resources to do this in a different kind of way? But
Hey,
I don't know.
money and resources and to do things a different kind of way. Another Yahoo is Ennis Cantor, who has been on this crusade to say that he is transitioning into a woman so he can go play in the WNBA. Ennis Cantor, like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, this is not the way.
No, that's the best thing that anyone could have possibly have said, Eric, because regardless of whatever side of the coin that you fall on when it comes to this, and the way that he's going about it and the attention that he's drawn to it, and it's such a self-serving, like sinister sort of way of drawing attention to an issue that obviously is a sensitive one and one that like requires people to be able to come whatever opinion you have and have like legitimate dialogue and understanding of where everybody's coming from on this, as opposed to this divisiveness and this outrage sort of culture. And then you see all the reactions and the things that it caused and him just being at a WNBA game and how frustrating that is, for others. And like, he sucks. He just like, he's used, people who are in those positions and use their what's the word I'm looking for? Prestige or what, pedestal, whatever you want to call it,
Influence.
to do good, exactly, influence, to do good things, more power to you. But when you use it to like rock the boat in the way that he's doing it, like, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, like, the thing is, it's sad because I do think he had used his influence in the past, talking about the oppressive regime in Turkey, talking about Nike and how they're doing stuff. And I think to take what he was doing that was positive and to do what he's and to juxtapose that against what he's doing right now, which I think is so incredibly damaging and hurtful for the WNBA. I think that's awful. So, Enes Kanter, go kick rocks. I hope you find something to do that's got nothing to do with that WNBA because you do not belong.
couldn't agree more there. We'll end on a much more positive note. And this one is, to Joseph Healy, who we were talking about Nantucket and wealthy people, a wealthy gentleman down in Rhode Island who brought a free concert of Maroon 5 to Narragansett Town Beach. I think 15,000 people showed up to Narragansett Beach over the weekend for Maroon
Awesome.
5. It was insane. So that's a big yeah. Shout out to Joe Healy, free show. Did you see any of the social clips or anything from that, Eric?
So I learned a little bit about this. He does this every 10 years, and he does this as kind of like a birthday gift for himself and to also benefit the community. So I saw in like, so one thing that I do think that is really funny about this is he also will go in and stir up fake rumors of who's coming in. So he obviously gets these bands to come in every decade or so, but he's also the one out there kind of stirring the pot, being like, oh yeah, it could be this artist, this group. Just in general, like that's such a cool thing to do for a community. And he certainly has a lot of money and does not need to do this, but that's a great thing for the community of Narragansett.
Yeah, absolutely. So good stuff there. I actually know a few people who went, said it was a great time. So love to see it. We'll have to see what happens 10 years down the road, who the group will be. All right, let's hop on the Pike. Let's park the car and park this show in the garage. Sox in Miami right now. They just went down 2-1. We were talking about Brian Bale. I think he just gave up one of his first earned runs in a while. So it goes to show there. But as we talked about, the series against the Yankees this weekend, really the big one that we're looking forward to. And then you got a Patriots and Browns preseason game Thursday night. Hopefully not as bad of a slog, and then you'll get to roster cuts and all this stuff there. So that's going on from a sports standpoint. Eric, anything else you want to touch on this week or anything that you're looking forward to here with the end of summer and Labor Day coming our way?
No, I think just really looking for the Sox to kind of keep their winning ways going, especially against two really good squads this week. I think Miami is very underrated compared to what a lot of people think. If they were in the AL right now, they would be in the playoff hunt. So they're no slouch. And obviously the Yankee series is the Yankee series. So very much looking forward to that and seeing what the Sox are able to do this week.
Love it. Good stuff. Great episode. Big thank you to David Creed of the Nantucket Current joining us. A fantastic conversation with him. And be sure to go ahead and follow the Nantucket Current on all their socials. If you're ever going out there, feel free to send us a message. We'll point you in the right direction in terms of places to go and all that fun stuff. So a big thank you to David. Big E, hope you have a great rest of the week. To all the listeners, near, far, wherever you are, we thank you for tuning in as always. We'll see you next week on the Boston Sports Brothers. Peace.
See you all next week.